Hey guys, I just decided off the cuff to create a little video for you tonight, actually, this evening. And it will actually be kind of short as I plan on creating some more videos this week. And it's kind of an icebreaker. So just coming because I haven't done actual physical videos in a little while. And it's not easy with the pace of everything, right? I don't need to explain to you. Everyone knows. So, but I actually really did want to create a few videos. I have my solar return on Friday. As I always say, we orb into here. So my experience, right? Just like you guys, my experience of the sun returning to he's in the house of Leo at the end of the week will mark my solar return. I always think it's like interesting that we focus so much on the sun aspect in the zodiac, whether it's part of whether you understand fully the zodiac or not, it doesn't matter. You've known your whole life that you have a birthday, right? As far as the matrix goes, you've had a birthday once a year, every year. Why is there never any honor given to any of the other luminaries, though? I've wondered. Because I've just had a Venus return, and I swear, and only you guys would understand that, but I swear I felt um, a certain energy or presence. So I think it can happen anatomically in the physical self. We could feel something depending on where she is, excuse me, in your placement. But we also have the moon, which moves roughly 13 degrees every day. And so technically, you have so many lunar returns in your experience. As a matter of fact, I checked on mine recently, and I think I'm, instead of saying my age, I could say I'm 6,342 moons. I like that. Sometimes we feel like that, don't we? We feel like we've been here so long. I mean, some of us that are real souls, if you will. And a lot of times when I want to create a video, I have so much to talk to you about. Like I have so much in my in my notebook that I've been writing lately. So much, like I have pages and pages and stacks of notebooks, and then I go to create, and it's like you don't know where to start or to end because there's almost too much material considering the system that we live in. So this one will actually be brief, and I just wanted to talk for a moment on expand just a little bit on what I've been talking to you about as far as astrology and stored data. And I know you might be thinking, okay, you're beating a dead horse here. This is really valuable information, and none of it I received anywhere except very in an altruistic, very analog, if you will, organic way. So I've not read anything on these specific terms, but it makes a lot of sense to me, and I think it could resonate with some of you guys. I'm hearing that a little bit. So, so when we talk about astorology, we see the store. We've discussed stored data and how the goal of this system, this construct, excuse me, isn't necessarily to distract, but to distort, right? And in the word distort, we see store. We see stored data. We see it in astorology, astrology. And I've said to you many times, going way back to the beginning of the channel, how language is inverted, and it's much more than that. It's a rearranging of the letters for us to essentially better understand the nature of reality. That's all it's just rearranging of the letters as they are angles, they are frequencies, they are arcs, and which is electric. and it's what makes up your experience. You are, like I've said so often, you are a human inside of a spirit, of a sprite. And technically, even though we I think a lot of times we want to say soul because it's natural, because we know that we have a soul, especially us who have been here for so long, those so into the truth. So I get that, but it's technically the soul is the solar plexus, which is here, radiating here, which is related to the sun. So so having said that, we understand that the soul emanates here, but it's also connected to the mechanisms of the brain because there's a gut brain connection even for the Ottomans, even they would understand this. There's a gut brain connection. And so the solar plexus, which radiates here, which is ruled by what? In the heart, the lion, the Leo. So that's the soul. And then around us is the spirit. And I think that it's really not just irony that the spirit is excuse me, the word spirit is so similar to sprite, as in like an electrical sprite, right? You get what I'm saying? So when we talk about the nature of the human and the anatomy and astrology, reassembling the letters, because they are archangels and they are gods and they are a type of frequency, and that's why they have shapes and patterns, just very similar to numbers, gematria. It's very similar. And language, which actually contains the word angle, should never be overlooked. I think it's one of the major tenets. I mean, really, it's one of the very major top tenets of all occult knowledge. Well, which essentially just means the hidden knowledge that you are not given when you come into here, into this experience, right? We know that. We're not given a handbook, and the handbooks that we are given are corrupt, right? So, so in occult knowledge, though, you will find that the reassembling and rearranging of letters uh, often many of them interchangeable, the W and the M, the vowels. I always say vowel to the L. So here's the thing, going back to astrology, right? Astrology. We see store when we reassemble. And I pointed this out in a recent video. Stored data in the SKU, skull, SKU double L, storage control unit of the skull and bones. The bones are another story. They're electric. They're like they light up. They each part of you is supernatural. It's supernatural, and it's also, in a way, it's a bit avatarish, a bit androidish, right? Of course. But the thing is the they don't want us to know the full capacity or mechanisms that we have, that we can expand and open, right? To raise consciousness, we can expand and open by understanding different tenets of occult knowledge. And one of them, and the top one, is understanding language. Not only its frequency, it's the way it's assembled, the rearranging, like in astrology, but the fact that it's such a great tool, and it's why we text and we speak. We actually we cursed, we curse ourselves into here. You know, there's so much can be said on that topic. And so I just want to stay brief and concise in this topic, because I always have, so go easy on me. I always have so much to say. So I have more coming later this week. But here's the thing. Here's the thing on the stored data, astrology. And here's another one. Here's another very interesting one. Connected. Your whole lifetime, in your whole script. I mean, you think about astrology and the zodiac and the solar return, which I was speaking on a moment ago. But you don't often, I would guess, think about the asteroids, right? You have a series of asteroids, excuse me, your whole lifetime. Your whole lifetime, you have a series of asteroids, right? Significant only to you, subjective only to you. So different from everyone else. Now, there's asteroids going off all the time. What I'm saying is in your birth pattern, you have asteroids specific only to you. Why is that? And you can research that and it's just that's true. Whether you believe in astrology or not, it doesn't matter. Or the zodiac, the asteroids do affect it because you will find an uncanny irony in certain asteroids and places that you've lived and people you've known, close relationships, things you've studied, all sorts of just it could blow your mind. And I'm dead serious. So asteroid, when we look at asteroid, we see also store in asteroid. So with astrology, and with asteroids, are you seeing a pattern here? We're seeing or again. When we rearrange, we see or. So there is data in these constellations. And whether you believe in as far as galactics, I think that's very subjective. That's very subjective as far as constellations and things, but there are 88 constellations and there are 8 different families. And do you know what that equals? That equals 888, 888, which is a number of God, right? Which is God's, it's a magical number, kind of like 33 and the number 9. So here's where I'm going with this. Or. So or is a gate. Or is as in um Orion, which is essentially the gate. It is the or is the gate, and then you have I, and then you have on, which is the city. And in the Bible and astrotheology, you can find that on is a reference to Galilee and to the city of light. And it's essentially what you learn more and more through the symbology and the analogy of the Bible. You will learn that on is the city. It is the light. Okay. It is the place of the light. So Orion. Okay. There you go. We got another or. So asteroid. So you have astrology. You have history. You have, which is store. It's stored data. So then you have what I've talked to you about many moons ago in several videos. I talked to you about that you orbed into here. Born has the word, born has the word orb, right? Has the 3 letters orb. In orb, which it's the light that makes up the electricity that makes you have this whole anatomical experience, right? But you are a body inside, I mean, yes, a body inside of the sprite, inside of the electrical spirit, the aura, right? So then we have airport, portal. When you go to an airport, you are leaving the gate and you're going, right? Port. I also find it interesting. So we see a lot of ors, and I also find it quite interesting how when you sign up in the medical system, and if you've had anyone close to you with an illness, um, and getting into the system, which most of us in this level of the game would never do. But if you did, you would likely log into a portal, right? Do you see the similarities? The similarities of portal, airport, portal, Lionsgate, or been to here, astrology, asteroid, high story, history, and then Thor is another one. Thor is a major player in this experience. All of the deities are. That's why it took 7 days. That's why Everything is in sevens. So each one, there's a day of the week, Thor's day, right? So in Thor you have Or. So I just find the I just struggle with believing that it's just that this is a coincidence. I mean, it can't be. So these sequence of letters, which we rearrange, helps us essentially better understand the nature of reality in this existence. And that is the whole purpose of the videos that I create for you, is decoding the reality, essentially by way of language, the zodiac, symbology, occult knowledge, etc. So before I conclude on this video, I wanted to say, as it is off the cuff, I just thought I had no really intentions today, and I just thought I really wanted to talk about this. And I wanted to tie in asteroid because I hadn't really spoken a lot on asteroid, but I think it's highly relevant because we see the or, and I've written it over and over, and I love to write it down pen to paper, and I've written it in my notebook, and I can see the connections. And I'll tell you what, and I always encourage you guys, I always encourage you to log into the analog, which is a phrase that I created, which essentially just means pen to paper, non-digital, because the digital is all being recorded. Now, obviously, I'm coming to you, right? And that was another thought I had recently, that record has or. We've got or again, right? So, which is the gate. So what I'm leading up to is I write it all down, and I encourage you to do the same, to log into the analog, because I think that this is a great way to elevate consciousness, and it's a great way to not give away all of your power, essentially, and to keep yourself true to you, the pen to paper. I think reverting, I think that I feel a movement happening, that and a lot of this has happened with Uranus and Gemini. It's more than, I'm not going to use the word, it's too overused, awakening. Okay. Okay, we could say awakening, sure. But it's more of a shift. There is a conscious shift in our types of soul beings. There is a shift. And when we revert to the past to experience the present, do you get what I'm saying? There's something in the past that is very tangible, completely different. And it's almost as if yes, you're going back in time, you know, although time is, we see that that's not what we thought of as a kid, and what we see as time now is it's very fluid and changeable, right? So what I'm getting at is when we log into the analog in a creative way, in a very creative way, and we use pen to paper, and we write down in our notebooks, and you reassemble the letters, and you decode language, you would be shocked. You would be shocked at all the knowledge you could gain. Maybe that's not, I can't say that it would be the same for everyone, but I can say that that's how I receive my messages. I believe that I do a sort of channeling, and it is a clairvoyant type of channeling. It is outside of myself, but it's still definitely me, but it's a higher layer, another aspect of my consciousness, and that's why I share all this with you. It's some type of angling, an arc angle. Send me an angle right now. So it's definitely, I can feel. I know it's like it sounds wild, but I can feel the messages come through. Now we know that the Ottomans are also on a type of download, a type of programming, a type of cosmic messages that they receive, right? But we bypass those. We bypass those. And to better understand occult knowledge, the true meaning of this existence is by way of decoding, by way of language, by understanding patterns, the zodiac, the constellations, the asteroids, especially those that are those that are significant only to you. There's so much I want to say that, and I will talk to you more on that, but it's real. There is so much now, and flooding with the internet with an E, in the search always for meaning outside. Once you understand some essential things, especially when it comes to astrotheology, the zodiac, the Bible, theology, the Bible, and that it's essentially the anatomy of the human. It's the brain, it's the mechanisms of the brain, and even other elements of the human body and the zodiac, and it's all symbolic. So now that I think is interesting research, but there's a lot we get flooded, and I know you do too, with so much research on the outside that I don't feel is altruistic, and I feel are a type of download that are to distort, and that is what I started this video on, and the distorting of high story and many other elements coming to you rather than to distract, but to distort your perception. So what I urge you to do is, instead of looking outside so much, is to look inside, right? To understand better, I always talk to you about understanding better the mechanisms of the brain. That's the hardware. This is the software. And I know I do understand that I can be a little bit repetitive for some people who are regular viewers. But you know what? We actually need that a little bit sometimes. We all need a little bit of repetition because of the lifestyle that we live. We've all got a little bit of attention deficit, and it's nice to be reminded in a way of certain terms because we're overloaded in our SKU, in our storage control unit, double L. We're overloaded, right? So, and we get wiped all the time, just like in a dream. So sometimes I must repeat certain tenets of information that I offer to you in an effort to tie it all in and to better explain it. And I have certain theories that are all of my very own. That's not to toot my horn, although I am a Leo, so it is my solar return week. It is my matrix birthday week, so give me a break. But I will say that I do come to you very authentically, very genuinely, and in a fashion I believe that is unique than some other corners of the internet. Um, in that, not that there aren't great truthers, because there are, I'm sure. I don't know. But what I'm getting at is I practice what I preach in a very analog sense, and I don't spend a lot of time researching. A lot of the messages I get go direct to the paper, from me to the paper, pen to paper, and then directly to you. Directly to you. You know, at risk of God knows who, you know, is it a little risky? I don't know. I mean, occult knowledge you will find out fast with any even small degree of research. You'll find out even with Freemasons or any of those texts, which I've read quite a few. You will find out that things like the zodiac and numbers and language. Well, I'm just going to tell you, it's the implements that hold this place together, this experience. And you're not even, and when I say place, I use that term as in the feeling of a place, because everything is emanating from the EYE. And I always tell you that. and I'll close there. But the EYE, right? The EYE emanates all of this by way of the black hole sun, because I always tell you that the zodiac is the eye. The eyes are the zodiac. This is your zodiac, and this is your projection. You are a Who-man projection. Like I say, astral projection, you're also a Who-man projection, and it's project project blue beam, not did you just see a light? I just felt a light. It's project blue beam, right? Like not project. Do you know what I'm saying? Like instead of they say like project paperclip, no. I mean, excuse me, project paperclip. No, it's project paperclip. And the reason why in the paperclip is it shows you the angle because it shows you a projection. I have so much more to tell you coming up, and I will bring some more videos to you. Actually, I plan to make at least two or three more this week. This was a little bit. I just wanted to talk more on the store and the orb and the asteroids, and I wanted to really come to you and explain to that I feel very confident that what we are seeing in that trend of the OR, what we are seeing in decoding language is we are seeing a pattern of OR, and the meaning behind it is related to stored data. It's related to stored data. So storage, I told you. I told you storage, Stargate, change the O and the A. You've got storage, you've got stars, ancestors, asteroids, or you orbed into here. You were born in, right? Orb in the light, having an experience, right? But it's interesting because the things that we see, the Ottomans don't see. And I've kind of stopped. I don't waste my time too much with them, which is one reason why I created the channel for you, was because you can't waste. And I hope you don't either too much, to be honest, because, and it isn't even their fault, but it's just that they're on a different frequency, a different radio station. They're not tuned in. And somehow we bypass the downloads that they receive. I actually believe that they are an arm of the machine. They are the fabric of this machine. They exist here and we orbed into here. We are having the projected experience, but they must be here to convince us. And I don't think that this system can operate or we can feel this experience or it emanate without the few souls that are actually here. And so I will close on that and I will come to you some more this week. As always, I love to see your thoughts and more to come very soon in the next one. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.